Let's give them all a round of applause. Name tags back here. Can I actually have you all stand up, all our recent graduates? Talking about balance tonight. Now, as a certified life coach here in Manhattan, this is something that I talk about just about every day with my clients. What to do in the next hour has the potential to significantly impact the rest of your life. Really take these questions to heart and you really jump in and dig into these exercises. What you discover today about yourself really can improve balance in the areas of career, relationships, and passion as well. But before we get to that, I just want to explain what a life coach is. Does anyone here know what a life coach is? Has anyone heard of that? No one. Wow, okay. Oh, one person. two, three. Okay, that's good. So let me just clarify what that is. Unlike a counselor or a therapist who would tell you advice, I don't give advice. Instead, what I do is ask powerful questions of my clients so that they can discover their own unique answers for themselves. We're going to be doing this for the topics of career, personal passions, and relationships. So let's get to it. For our purposes tonight, we're not going to be talking about this mathematical equation, which is kind of a common misconception with balance, this idea that you need to have things exactly aligned, right? I need to work this number of hours per week, and then I can play for this many hours, and somehow that's supposed to make me happy. We're going to find out why that's not the case tonight. The fact is, sometimes you might work more than you might play. Sometimes you might not have that perfect 40-hour work week. And that can be okay if what you're doing is meeting your emotional and physical and intellectual needs. If it's not, that's a big problem, as we'll get to. Now, balance is something that is very, very individual. We're all unique, and what is balanced to one person in this room is not going to be balanced to everybody else. Let me give you an example. Where you 100% know your purpose, you know your passions, you're living them, what would need to happen? What would need to happen? Now, this was actually a graduate student, not in New York, in a different state. And you can see, ooh, her fitness, wow, you know, like, and it kind of makes sense being in school. Finances, not so good, makes sense being in school. Her dating was actually going all right. That's a good thing, it's a good thing. Relationship with her mother, she chose to label that specifically. Now you can compare this over time as you make changes. You can actually see your results in a tangible way, which is exciting. Now, a big point we're making tonight is that small changes make a big difference. Small changes really are big changes, and every area influences every other area. So when we're talking about balance, this is really what I'm talking about. It's not so much that mathematical equation, the perfect number, the XYZ, the number of hours. It's about this. It improves her fitness. She suddenly feels super confident. No one else can really tell. She looks about the same, but her clothes fit better. She feels energetic. She goes out with her friends. She dates. It's just so great that she has no time to even think about cupcakes, right? But when she skips some workouts, ooh, it goes downhill. She starts, doubting herself, not feeling good, and she skips, those events with her friends. She says no to dates, so then she's lonely, she's bored. Oh, cupcakes make sense now, don't they, right? This explains why when one thing goes wrong, ooh, everything goes wrong, doesn't it? It definitely does. Now, the cool thing is that to get out of this cycle, to break it, we don't need to do a huge thing. We can do a very small action. For her, all she really needs to do is go to the gym for 10 minutes. That's enough to make that small change that then influences everything else, and it gets her started in a new direction. So now I'm going to talk about each of these areas in depth in terms of balance. So we have relationships, we have career, and we have life, passion, and purpose. I'm going to start with relationships. Relationships aren't something that we hear a lot about. Nobody tells you in first grade that the happiness that you have in your life is going to greatly be influenced by your relationships. But it is so important to understand this because studies show that this is really
what makes people happy. Now, having a strong foundation within yourself leads to fulfilling relationships. We're going to talk about you versus the relationship, and we're going to talk about the negative thoughts that can hold us back from balance. Now, a study by economists, we know that relationships make us happy, but how do we get there? How do we improve our relationships so that they become more balanced? Look at a lot of these dating guides, like the rules and the game and all these things. What they're really talking about is pretending to have a life. That's really what they're talking about. Oh, pretend that you have plans on Tuesday. He's never going to find out. Oh, don't call her. Pretend that you have a life. And the cool thing is that when you're balanced, you don't have to even pretend because you're just doing your thing within yourself. So, let's say that you love brunch and your boyfriend hates brunch and he's allergic to eggs or something and doesn't want to go. Just go ahead and make plans on your own. Go with your just to really drive this point home, just imagine an exaggeration here. If you're dating someone and they show up and they say, oh, I'm not doing anything this week. Oh, I don't have any plans. No, what are you doing tomorrow? What are you doing the next day? Are you doing your laundry? Oh, I can help with that. I can fold your socks. Like, yeah, no, I can come over, water your plants. Oh, yeah, I can water your plants. That sounds good. Right? That's not going to be good. And on the other hand, you don't want someone who, I actually dated someone who told me that he liked to spend 5% of his time with other people as a total, including me. But I get like 1.5%. There's no good women, there's no good men out there. Why even bother? Everyone good's already taken. That makes sense, right? I'm going to be alone forever. I hate dating. Everyone in this city is evil. And others, this is the most balanced place to be. So important. I don't have to tell you guys how important this is. I mean, we all know how high the stakes are with career, especially these days. It's just not always a happy place to be with career. And it's so important to have that balance and that fulfillment in what you're doing. They lead to your happiness. So for workers, for those currently employed, tonight we're going to talk about, is your work fulfilling? Do you have boundaries in your work? And beware, it's really hard to leave bad jobs because of the fact that we invest in them. What we invest in, we don't want to leave. It can be harder to leave a bad job than a good job. For job seekers tonight, we're going to talk about finding balance. You still need a life. You need a social life. You need your health. These things help you find work. So let's start with those who are currently employed or who have your own business. I want you to ask yourself how much balance you have right now when it comes to your career. Are your relationships good? Do you have enough time? Do you feel you're fulfilling your life purpose? Really think about that. I said investing in bad jobs makes it harder to leave those bad jobs. Beware of this. And also notice the negative messages in your workplace. When you hear people saying things like, oh, all there is death and taxes. You go to work and you die. That's it. Beware of these people that are keeping you down. Instead, look for the mindset that you need to create to build the life that you want. We'll talk more about mindset and how to do that later on. Now for job seekers. If you've been laid off or you're looking for work for any reason, maybe you're starting a business that's not yet established, whatever that is, when it comes to balance, you need to understand that you need a life, even if you feel so scared that you don't have that financial security. Both are a way to cope with a really stressful situation of not having that stability that you want. But most of us do tend to find ourselves in one camp or the other. Some people overspend as a distraction, and other people refuse to leave the house or spend a dime. Oh, I'm not going to happy hour. I don't care if it's $3 drinks. No, I'm sitting at my computer, and I'm going to sit here for 7 or 8 months or until I get a job, and I'm not going to change my clothes either. So it's really important to beware of this mindset of overdoing it or underdoing it. Balance is what's going to help you find work. You do, even if you feel financially insecure. If you're one of those people that are cutting open your toothpaste tube and squeezing that last little bit out, that might be a sign that you're in that camp. Job seekers. The workers tend to think, well, there's no other jobs out there, so I have to stay in a job I hate. What else am I going to do? Why bother asking for time off? I'm not going to get it. They're just going to fire me. Job seekers. I can't spend any money until I have